The content, views, and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the producer and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the City of Bremerton, BCAT, their officials, or their employees. Hello, I'm Elise of Joyful Plant, and welcome to Gardening Through Art. Today we are practicing watercolor using 3 distinct Rosemaling styles: Rogaland, Telemark, and Setesdal. Let's get started. The first Rosemaling style we'll be exploring is called Rogaland from Western Norway in the Ryfylke region. This style is more symmetrical and clearly defined than other styles and typically appears on dark backgrounds with high contrast. The second style is Telemark from Eastern Norway and one of the most recognizable Rosemaling styles. It tends to use softer color contrasts with lively, flowing, energetic scroll work. Finally, the last style is called Setesdal from southern Norway in the Agder region. There, Rosemaling was less common than wood carving, but the style still developed recognizable features such as cartouche-like designs on trunks, flat-bottom tulips, and intricate geometric patterns and repeated teardrop shapes. The palette tends toward oxide red and Prussian blue mixes, and earthier tones are bold but subdued. For materials, you'll need watercolor brushes, pigments, paper, and Rosemaling patterns. More information on materials can be found on joyfulplant.com. Mixing watercolors can be different from mixing oils. Rosemaling is a living art form, so we acknowledge that the colors we use might not exactly be traditional. However, practicing in different watercolor helps build muscle memory, improve our skills, and let us really get to know the various styles. We'll begin experimenting with our watercolor Rosemaling with this Rogaland design. It's a pattern made by Vi Thody in her book on Rogaland work from 1977. I have begun by tracing the design onto the paper and playing with some general composition. I'm using this to explore how it is done, but it is not a replacement of the oil on wood work, and in my opinion, it really isn't quite as beautiful. But it does give us a chance to make this art a little more accessible. I'm choosing to use a water brush, and I would like to demonstrate how simple it can be to take this art anywhere with you. It is not as high quality as some of the natural bristle water brushes that are available, but the water brush makes it easier to access this art. So we're still using our C strokes, our S strokes, and our teardrops. And you might find some variation with the way that the brushes respond. Some people like to use flat brushes for their initial stroke work, and others prefer to use either a filbert or they might use round brushes for everything. So I decided to experiment some with the way that the colors were laid out. I think it's interesting to just use primary colors, sometimes for watercolor. However, I think that the color mixing became a little bit challenging as I was hoping for more of a subdued color work. And so I ended up mixing something like a Prussian blue with a burnt umber for that basic blue, and put it in a small palette that snaps together so it could be added to any art bag. And we're playing with a few different styles of stroke work. It really does take muscle memory, just like riding a bike, and it's something that can get rusty if we're not practicing it. So it's okay to practice with a Buddha board or some other paper before you work with your wooden piece. Sometimes some wax paper is a great way to practice with oils. As a living art, we are acknowledging that Rosemaling is something that is probably done more in the United States than it is even in Europe. When we explore our creative potential, it can help us align our subconscious awareness with nature and helps us become better stewards of the land. We start to imagine more of what we can do to influence the space, and we start to become more able to read plants and to take good care of them. It's also really fun to explore in this way. And it gives us an opportunity to keep our minds and our hands active with creating things. It can be very therapeutic, and hand-eye coordination end up being excellent for reducing stress and keeping our health active through our lives. Rosemaling is something that can be done at any age. And even with some physical limitations, there are some people that I know that are able to keep up with their practice. And I think that usually with watercolor, it's nice to blend the paints on the paper so that you can see the different pigments. That's a contrast to what I know of the Rosemaling, which is often either a double-loaded brush or it might be blended on the subject, but it's very controlled. It helps me get to know the different styles without the commitment. This, I believe, is a Telemark design. It was given to me by our friend Lois Clausen, who is a Bremerton teacher and a meaningful member of the Western Rosemalers. She was a dear friend. She skillfully painted many styles of Rosemaling. It's meaningful to learn from people who have been doing this a long time. And many from prior generations have dedicated a significant amount of hours to the art. It's always a balance to keep an art alive, to be able to adapt it to individual styles, and also to respect its origins. So Rosemaling itself developed over many years of people in various valleys of Norway, especially adapting the carving styles to what they saw coming in from different parts of the world on trunks decorated with paint. And this is a practice that I think is very fun and meaningful. So it can be very powerful to get to know the folk arts from your heritage or other heritage lines, and remember that the arts have more meaning than I think we often give them credit for. It is really important for our community to see the inspiration. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we're fortunate enough to live in a region that is so beautiful and rich with nature. It is important to see that inspiration everywhere, and we're able to then give more attention to the parts of life that make it more fun. So it's really simple to make things with just a light touch, and you might see some similarities in these styles. And when you notice that your hand does something that maybe you don't like, you might call it a mistake, and that's okay. It gives you feedback, and you're able to get to know your own style by seeing what comes out of each piece. Every year, the Washington State Fair hosts the creative arts competitions. Rosemaling is one of those. It is important for us to submit, even if we're not confident or competitive generally, so that we can keep Rosemaling and the other arts part of the community. You might go back and mindfully check through some of the forms. In general, we might use a little bit less pressure in some places, a little bit more pressure in others, and add details sparingly so that they are pronounced. And if it's not coming out how you would expect, give yourself some credit for trying. Once we learn these styles, we can use any pen or pencil to doodle. Whenever we have a spare moment. And practicing the C and S strokes and hand control even helps us with handwriting, which can increase confidence and be very helpful for our relationships. Practicing these types of arts can help us to tune our intuition to nature's processes and help us become more confident and joyful stewards of our beautiful region. Today we enjoyed watercolor with Rosemaling. Thank you for joining us. You're invited to share your work on social media with #GardeningThroughArt and find more tutorials at joyfulplant.com. See you next time.